Good morning, everybody. Thank you for clicking on today's video. Today, have you ever asked yourself, what is the fastest way to do rift grubs? Do I clump them together and use my awaken R on Udyr, or do I use my isolation damage and keep them split? Today, we're going to give you a very short and quick guide on the fastest way to do rift grubs as Udyr. If you enjoy this type of content, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. I also offer private coaching. Make sure to join the Discord if you want information on all that. But without further ado, let's go ahead and jump on in.
Dang. Call me so I can make it juicy for you.
So if you're a returning player like me, I didn't even know what rift grubs were, so I do want to take a second here and just mention, of course, at the front of the video, why you should be getting rift grubs. Rift grubs, if you don't know, give your team a permanent stacking buff for the entirety of the game. The more stacks you have, the more potent the effect is, and what these effects do is essentially you get true damage versus turrets and other structures. In addition, at 4 and 6 stacks respectively, you get a bonus Void Might, which soaks turret damage. In other words, it's just a bonus minion on each minion wave that helps your team shove in quicker. Rift grubs are really important because they lead to direct early game advantages in the sense of turret plates. So you can get these before 14 minutes, and they really help the winning team or just the team that gets them get turret plates. In addition, they are fantastic on split push team comps that can walk down side lanes and fight on their own and get turrets on their own. This leads us to today's video, which is how do you do them as quick as possible? So there are two questions I kind of want to drill down on. Number one, is Tiger faster than Phoenix on rift grubs? Should be obvious considering AoE is the Phoenix ability, but we'll get into it and look at the numbers here in a second. And then the second question I want to ask is, should you clump them together and use your Awaken R, which is the giant circle if you don't know, or should you leave them isolated if you don't know? If you stand in the middle of the rift grub pit and then you start auto attacking, the rift grubs will actually not move and they'll stay farther apart, allowing you to take advantage of your isolation damage on your Q, meaning all your lightning bolts will hit the same one rift grub instead of getting split amongst all of them. And so the question is, what is faster, Tiger or Phoenix, or is clumping together versus isolating? To run this test, what I did was I literally just went into a practice tool and I used two different simulations. So the first was on the first round of grubs. I assume you'd be level 5. If you're playing Phoenix, I assumed you would have Faded Ashes and a Dark Seal. And if you're playing Tiger, I just picked up a Phage for just 15 attack damage and 200 health. There's a lot of Tiger builds, so I think Phage would be the closest semblance of what you would actually have, depending on what you're building. And then the second test I ran was on the 10-minute grub, so about 10 minutes and 30 seconds. I also ran a second simulation. And then at that point, I assumed that you'd either have Liandry's, your full Liandry's, or a full Trinity Force. Pretty generous, but in winning game states, it is possible to be level 9 with a full item spike for the second round of grubs. So those are kind of the control groups and what we were testing again. As we can see as we go through these clips, I was actually surprised. Here's what you need to know, essentially. On the first round of grubs for Tiger Udyr, so let's say you're maxing Q and putting points in, building attack damage, there is no difference really between clumping them and then using your lightning Q. Both are extremely similar in terms of clear speed. Both were only within a second or two difference. And so here's the really interesting part. It is actually faster with a Liandry's to use your lightning Q on the second round of grubs than it is on Tiger. Meaning, if you're planning on playing Faded Ashes with Awaken R, on both the first round of grubs, it's kind of negligible. You'll only save a second or two either way, depending on which way you go for. But on the second round of grubs, you want to actually be using Lightning Q, not your Awaken R, and clumping them. With Tiger, when I ran the test with Triforce, it was the exact same way. So the first way, you really didn't, or the first time around, you didn't really want to use your Awaken R and clump them because it was kind of negligible on the first round of grubs. On the second round of grubs with the Triforce, it is actually the same speed, if not faster, to clump them together and use 1 point Awaken R and use your attack damage and attack speed to whittle down The Rift Grubs, I would like to stress, if you play with Stridebreaker or any of the Tiamat items, Ravenous Hydra, Profane Hydra, any of those Tiamat items, I actually think as Tiger Udyr, it will be faster for you to clump them together on the second round and use your Awaken R instead of your Awaken Q. Of course, use the Awaken Q on the last one. But that was super interesting to me to see that essentially as AP Udyr, you always want to be isolating them. And then on Tiger Udyr on your second round, if you've got a Tiamat, you actually want to clump them together. You would think it's backwards, but it has everything to do with how ability power works, and it's fun to see in real time. When you build attack damage or on-hit effects like Triforce gives you, those apply to your auto attacks, right? Udyr has such high percent damage that clumping them together actually makes sense if you've got enough of a high attack damage threshold or enough on-hit damage, right? When you're playing Liandry's, you're boosting your ability power and the percent damage you already have, which is great on Lightning Q because that's your biggest source of single target lightning damage. So, in other words, it is actually better to play for your single target percent HP ability, your Lightning Q, than it is to try and clump them together. Use the Awaken R because while it does do a lot of damage, it's still not Lightning Q's amount of damage. This to me was interesting. I hope you guys have found this video enjoyable. I'm trying to get more targeted content like this on my YouTube, more guides, so make sure to let me know what you want in the comment section below and I'll try and get around to it. Other than that, thank you guys for watching this video. I hope you found it information, useful, and helpful. And outside of that, I'll see you on the live stream. Make sure to stop by over there and say hello. Bye!
Dang. Call me so I can make it juicy for ya.